My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It's Friday, July 11th, 2025. It's currently 6:36 a.m., where you will see the fake sun in alignment to me. Stalking within environment is where the public entity is engaged in what is ongoing surveillance. And at 636 North Fine Avenue at 6:36 a.m., you'll see the fake sun at the 7-Eleven. This is where the fake moon was at last night over me on the same street at the TABOR Professional Building. Sunrun, a commercial actor, is gang stalking. License, it's a Utah plate T51 OES. This is the third party operating that third party vehicle. They're on surveillance cameras inside of the 7-Eleven monitoring UBR 379 and 36325V2. And the entity maintaining amplified plane activity while they pace in and out of the 7-Eleven monitoring. They're all engaged in federal stalking, including the corporation 7-Eleven itself. This is P.O.C. Coffee smells good. Impossible light activity moving across the ceiling inside of the store while third parties are pacing on G Street. Sunrun is gang stalking. It's a Latino male wearing a sky blue shirt and a hat. He's on cameras exiting at 6:38 a.m. That's terrorism that 7-Eleven is engaged in while engineered light is moving across the ceiling inside of the store to monitor me. Oh, go ahead. I'm still buying stuff. They don't have any. Decisions. I can see why they're not here. Sorry, can I get behind you? Thank you. License 5BDV378 and 67808H3. EBT, yes. So is it all gonna go through on the card this time? So you did the thing for
only $1.
Okay.
980.
So that's $1, 449. Chobani. Oh, so Chobani is $2.39?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was $1.99. Okay. You have it on the oh, over here. You know it says it's $1.99 over there?
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll take this flavor. This is the one that's $1.99. It's because it's
This
peach.
one?
It's the strawberry that's $1.99. I'll put this one back.
Okay.
Thank you. Am I cooking someone? Or you could just read.
Please. Bag?
So it's the same price?
Yeah, same price.
Yeah, it says it's $1.99 over there. But okay.
Bag?
Yes, please. Strawberry.
Please.
Yeah, I need my receipt, please.
Yeah, 4%. Please.
Receipt, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They pull my deed, I'm sorry.
It's okay. License 7DEX887. And 9CNX274. That's the Latino male. He's using his alarm to monitor as I walk toward his vehicle. That's monitoring movement. 8BET502. These are demons that I'm dealing with, that I'm talking to. This is malice that they're engaged in. They're actually gang stalking while they are trying to engage and just act like they're normal people. They're not. They're monitoring. Everything they're doing is pursuant to monitoring my every movement. And it's psychopathic while they engage in that, while the demon-possessed practice this. They're doing it also under the fake sun. It's currently 6:46 a.m. That's 7-Eleven engaged in criminal monitoring, while they are simultaneously including the business of that venue, which is relevant to the federal RICO case against the government, and prosecution of every company in California that's engaged in state surveillance unbeknownst to American citizens, and I certainly didn't consent to it. So it's currently 6:47 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the people of the state monitoring with the City of Ontario sounding plane engines as though you can hear them rumbling from the airport, and that's going to create some sort of loud ruckus rumbling noises like rolling thunder. This is, again, demonic. It's terrorism. It's while literally a government is stalking you, and also the evidence of the government stalking you is a whole fake sun. This is documentation of the government stalking an American citizen, is referred to as gang stalking. It is appropriately referred to incorporating the federal nature of the crime committed by a public entity as federal group stalking and monitoring. 7XPL229. 6XXT119. She's still monitoring me while in custody of a minor child. License plate 7KHJ732. 7JVN197. 9NKX340. 24490K1, I believe. Yeah, K1. 6W52 Hold on. 6W5 3229 6XVE193 7ZKU726. As the entity is stalking you with planes and helicopters, the government is doing it while the people of the state physically surround you. This is criminal conduct while they engage in aerial surveillance. It's criminal conduct while the entities surround you with amplified audible activity. So you're imagining the sound is something that surrounds you while the people of the state are stalking. Doing so while they're in their homes, you will be federally prosecuted where you live. 7BTJ448. The obvious evidence of everything that I'm describing is the whole fake sun that remains over everybody's facilitating venues as I walk by them and their gang stalking. That's not a private residence. That's a facilitating venue where you are fully exposed to a federal prosecution, which I will prosecute you. Okay, license plate. It's currently 6:50 a.m. and any American citizen is empowered. You have the constitutional right to prosecute. All I'm doing is exposing what the government is doing, and I'm also exposing how it is perfectly capable of being prosecuted and not impervious, even based on the demonic nature of the crime. That's not just like any murder that is inspired by Satanism. It's not somehow, oh, we can't prosecute it because they were Satanists when they committed this murder. No, it's relevant to the malice. It's relevant to the character of the crime. It's relevant to the sickness inherent to that crime committed. Oh, but it's definitely that which is subject to a prosecution, and it's definitely subject to a prosecution because the government. It's state action. All right. It's currently 6:51 a.m. Let me get this license plate over here. 5VQD662. Everything that the people of the state do, gang stalking you, is state action, and everything that the government does directly, gang stalking you, is done in concert with the people of the state. Everything, including kidnapping. It's 6:51 a.m. 8HKK353. All right, just as a license 7JOG842, just as an aside, the entity gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department that I documented stalking on video, and while addressing the federal policy regarding domestic terrorism and the deportation of all gang stalking immigrants, the entities that's engaging in this pattern of conduct, stalking by helicopter at what is Lemon and F Street last night, the entity followed to the TABOR professional building and proceeded to repeatedly fly over me by helicopter. And doing so, again, the demon possessed that are engaged in monitoring and are fully, they're so psychopathic, they would rather provide me additional evidence of stalking me, which they're going to prison for. Judges are going to prison for it. Demons that and bearing false witness are going to prison for it. Gang stalking police officers are going to prison for it. The people of the state are going to prison for it, and they would rather provide me more evidence of them stalking me, for which there are serious and severe and long existing consequences, rather than me be able to watch whatever it is that I want to watch on YouTube without being subject to federal group stalking and monitoring while the government uses helicopter to do so. The entity is engaging in this last night, repeatedly flying over by helicopter, which I've documented so heavily I didn't even stop watching what I was watching, but the demons are very much triggered by what it is that I view online. Now remember, the entity is, again, this is psychopathic behavior. This is the inability to reason. What is more important, that they watch something? And then what is, let's get to that. Why are you concerned with what I'm watching? This is the whole point behind prosecuting the government that's a stalker. But that's what the entity is doing. Based on what it is that I'm viewing, whatever it is that I'm doing, whatever it is I'm speaking about, the entity will start stalking by helicopter, which is so foolish. It's literally evidence of, oh, okay, pay attention to that, because this is when the entity starts. That's what you should do with all of my evidence. When you start hearing them sound helicopters, I'm in the midst of speaking. I'm not lying about anything, but that's evidence that they really, really, really do not want you to hear. Okay, that's literally how you are looking and assessing the P.O.C. when I am speaking and documenting, and the demons begin stalking in real time like idiots. 9HOH528. Anyway, the entity engages in this last night. The Ontario Police Department that followed from the TABOR Professional Building to the OVITT Family Community Library. Remember, gang stalking is not based on chronology. It's based on tracking my steps as an entity. These sex offenders are stalking and are engaging in what is blocking the path. The Ontario Police Department used police training as the guise for stalking. And you know that it's stalking because guess where the fake sun is 10 hours from the same position. All right, those are highly unintelligent, okay? Highly unintelligent demons who are surrounded. They're surrounded with evidence. And while they're stalking me, I've already choked the life out of them with evidence that's putting them in federal prison. No small consequence. No small thing whatsoever. And they're so mentally demented. They're so sick. They're still more obsessed, and that's because of their demon possession. That's because of their practicing of witchcraft and using, resorting to demonic spirits. So now they're more addicted, all right? They're more obsessed than they are rational. This is literally dealing with mental illness that affects human beings, okay? But I'm letting you know their condition. And regardless of that, in federal court, you know what the federal court's concerned of? The criminal conduct, the volitional actions, that which is proven with tangible evidence, and it's stalking by a police department. 96787W3, 5CPS 621, 5CPF 621. And this is the entity that's stalking as I go to the TABOR Professional Building last night and repeatedly flew over my head by helicopter, waiting for me to give them attention and stop what I'm looking at on the internet in order to capture more video, which is putting people in prison. Like Ocean at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, she's going to federal prison. That demon, L. Edwards, that put handcuffs on me, she's going to prison for that. 9HQF826. That's an old biddy. She's gang stalking. That's an old Caucasian female she's monitoring. I'm referencing the license plate, not Ocean. Ocean is a Latina female, I believe. You can see on video, the video that is getting over 800 views, but nobody likes to pay attention to the Ontario Police Department flying in circles over my head at the same location at 7 in the morning and again at 6:10 in the afternoon. That one doesn't get so many views, but watching an illusion of me being arrested, that arrest is evidence against the Ontario Police in the state of California for kidnapping. It's helping the federal prosecution. That was damning criminal activity. And then the Ontario Police have continuously engaged in obvious stalking, which is not helping L. Edwards, Alex Escobar, and A. Quesada, who are going to federal prison. So as excited as the entity gets by looking at handcuffs being placed on me, that's pursuant to what is exposing being a whistleblower. And that's exactly why federal laws are designed to protect people like myself, exposing corruption with the government and the corrupt government that conducts itself as though you're going to engage in documented acts of kidnapping like I captured L. Edwards of the Ontario Police Department engaged in on July 4, 2025, and that he's going to remain out of federal prison. They're delusional, and those that are fantasizing about my being kidnapped somewhere, you're all delusional. You're all delusional. All the demons sitting around watching my social media platform, watching me expose you, watching me expose your father, Satan, watching me expose the state of California. You are sitting around imagining about and hoping in things that are never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And that criminal act committed by the Ontario Police Department is exactly why they're being disbanded. That helps the federal case. That was very, very, very foolish conduct that the entity engaged in, but demons are very impulsive, very easily triggered. All right, and I capitalize on that. All right, it is currently, by the way, 6:58 a.m., and that same Ontario Police Department engaged in repeatedly flying over me last night at the TABOR Professional Building, which I've already documented their pattern of engaging in. So I did continue just watching the YouTube. These demons literally are obsessed with me, and they are literally in need of attention from me more often is what I observe. And they're also bothered when they don't get attention. And it's not even good attention. It's horrible attention. It's attention that you don't want. It's attention that you're going to get in a federal court. These are mentally sick people. They sit around in buildings all day long stalking me. All right. They sit around in buildings all day long, walking at the moment that pacing all around me, in other words. They get up and walk inside of the library at the moment that I begin uploading something on the internet. All they're doing is pacing because they're walking in engineer light inside of that venue. They're stalking. Who engages in stalking, let alone stalking inside of a room? Because that's what the people of the state do. This is what the living dead do. They're demons. 8HLX139 at Laurel and C Street at 6:59 a.m. while the fake sun is in alignment to me. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I do want to document the Ontario Police Department engaging in that documented act of terrorism, and doing so while pursuant to Title 18 federal stalking. All right, pursuant to what I'm doing online, and so they resort to a heavily documented, overly used, and common method of terrorism, stalking in a helicopter, repeatedly flying over me over and over and over again, and doing so, again, exhibiting severe mental illness, not only because you're stalking a woman in the middle of the night, using a helicopter. Clearly, this department has nothing else to do, and I am their concern and obsession, but moreover, I'm putting it on the internet every time they do it. With regard to what is greater context regarding theft of property that the government tried to keep a secret from me, and tried to use gang stalking by this very police department to criminally defame my character in order to support what is a secret conservatorship, which is the means whereby the government sought to, with Tracy Banks, with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, a corrupt official as well, engaging in what is trying to steal a lot of money and a lot of property from me that they've already stolen some of. And they're going to prison for that. This department is engaging in what is providing evidence against themselves, against the entity every day. All right, I could not get a more cooperative defendant in that regard. I could not get a more cooperative defendant as far as the prosecution is concerned. All right, they are absolute fools. It is currently 7:01 a.m. The fake sun is at the same intersection, C Street and Euclid. Omnitrans is gang stalking. This is Route 83. Omnitrans, Impossible Light on the bus outside of it, 1399981, bus number 1267. Omnitrans is engaged in a federal offense monitoring me, and doing so while it's including the business of Omnitrans, just like every other third party and state actor. License 9MJM208, 7VBL949, 10407C3, 9CUD612. 9P7V476, 7PUH601, 8YLF730. License 88379W3. Okay, and what is always relevant is Ocean and Amelia and Brian and Elena, everyone that engaged in kidnapping on July 4th. 2025, they're going to federal prison while the sun is never going to be in alignment to their window on Euclid Avenue, while sitting inside of that cafe, facing what is the direction east, like I've been documenting, while Starbucks, the corporation, has been gang stalking me. And so upon gang stalking, they then committed kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department that is relying on the criminal conduct, the criminally cooperative conduct of Starbucks to keep me under surveillance and then harass and terrorize me as I document it. They're going to prison, including while I stay away from Starbucks and I document the P.O.C. because that's exactly what Starbucks was engaging in, including while they engaged in kidnapping. You will see the fake sun while they were committing kidnapping. You will see the engineer light while they were committing kidnapping. They were engaged in criminal monitoring while they were engaged in kidnapping, and they're going to federal prison. It's currently 7:02 a.m. The entity is stalking with the Ontario International Airport, doing donuts over the Ontario Town Square. I laugh because it's pathetic. I do not laugh because it's funny. I do find that which is pathetic funny, if you can follow that. Oh boy, it's very, very sad. This is Alan D. WAPNER's handiwork, just like Omnitrans is. All right, another sex offender that's going to be removed from position. Yeah. Gang stalking with the people of the state. This is an Asian male coming out of the parking garage, monitoring with the City of Ontario. License 9FRL955. The City of Ontario is stalking in the path at the site of the OVITT Family Community Library, the same municipality, gang stalking using a municipality vehicle to stalk with peculiarized light. That's flashing light. That's in perfect alignment with me as I cross the street and the airport deviates from taking off from the airport anywhere to engage in what is doing a donut over the Ontario Town Square while demons stalk in the path with flashing light under a fake sun. That's still over the same OVITT Family Community Library, over this same strip of land right here at 6 p.m. when I exit, which I've also already captured on video. This is the City of Ontario engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and no gang stalking mayor is remaining in office. Paul Leon is being exposed, and he's also going to be removed. He is engaging in the pattern of conduct while the municipality, while the airport, while the police department, while the fire department engage in state surveillance. And the egregious sex offense, the perpetual sex offense, which is the entity's ongoing surveillance of my vagina, okay? And they're going to be prosecuted as the sex offenders that they are, okay? They're actually sex offenders, and the evidence proves that. All right, it is currently 7:04 a.m. at the Ontario Town Square. It's located at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the people of the state are engaging in surveillance while the entity keeps the fake sun over the Ontario Town Square. The entity maintains ongoing amplified audible activity, for example, flying in planes and helicopters, as I'm documenting, over the Ontario Town Square. The evidence of stalking me specifically is what the Los Angeles Police Department is doing in the specific environment in a totally different region where there's not more than one sun in the natural environment, but there's necessarily more than one sun while LAPD is gang stalking, as I'm documenting last year, and the city of Ontario is gang stalking while I'm remaining on one strip, this little corner of land from the TABOR professional building to the OVITT Family Community Library where the fake sun rises and sets. Those idiots are going to be prosecuted, and it's a federal RICO case, and it's a substantial one. It's currently 7:05 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, under the fake sun with the city of Ontario. This is Marina. Let me get this light. This is a corrupt business stalking with peculiarized light, and doing so while the city of Ontario provides corroborating evidence. MANA, ADHC, CEASELESS, gang stalking. Let me show you. That's Amazon Prime, gang stalking by commercial plane over the Ontario Town Square. This is MANA, ADHC, CEASELESS. Gang stalking with peculiarized light at the 280 North Limit Apartments. The entity sounds plane activity the same moment that I began documenting, and they're gang stalking with the elderly at the 280 North Limit Apartments. And I want to be clear, gang stalking immigrants of all ages are going to be subject to deportation, okay? There's no compassionate law with regard to domestic terrorism. There's no compassion for gang stalking elderly people. This is the P.O.C. This is the P.O.C. That's MANA, ADHC, CEASELESS. That they are gang stalking with the city of Ontario. I'm at Lemon and C Street. This is P.O.C. The fake sign is at the same location that it is at when I walk in over the same venue, in other words, at the entrance. It's over the building right now where the city of Ontario is relying on the people of the state using businesses to maintain light activity, to maintain presence, stalking while third parties like Amazon Prime use commercial planes to hover over the Ontario Town Square, and also doing so as I document the people of the state. All right, so this is understanding surveillance that the entity is engaging in, and the ongoing obsession by a bunch of demons who've been engaged in witchcraft for too long because their mental illness is why they're not able to avoid a federal prosecution. They could not act like they weren't stalking me if they wanted to. P.O.C.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. That's the Ontario International Airport doing donuts over it as I walk across the street, and the entity is surrounding the perimeter with light activity. They're flying in alignment to me and then making a U-turn going back. These are not flights taking off toward a destination. This is group stalking using commercial planes. At C Street in Euclid, where the fake sun is present at 610, and the Ontario Police Department is doing the same thing, stalking in the sky space. And the city of Ontario is stalking in the path with light activity. The context is the fake sun. It's 7:16 a.m. The fake sun is not at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where L. Edwards is committing kidnapping at the same time at 507 North Euclid Avenue. That's priority. They're gang stalking with the city of Ontario. That's P.O.C. That's the entity stalking with planes which is what the Ontario Police Department was doing right here while they were flying over this building where I stood yesterday. That's the pattern of conduct. That's 7:16 a.m. That's, again, gang stalking by commercial airline planes, what Amazon Prime was doing, as I documented on podcast, flying over the Ontario Town Square. This is P.O.C. Stalking as I'm going back to, not back to Starbucks, going back to 7-Eleven to retrieve my property that the entity knows is there, while they're stalking me as I go right back to that venue at 636 North Vine Avenue where the fake sun began. All right, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, and the video that you just listened to is the Ontario International Airport stalking in unheard of and unprecedented, demonic, and psychopathic ways that include using businesses that are providing instrumentalities to the government to engage in surveillance, psychological torture as well, gang stalking. And this is where you're seeing a flight that's coming from the airport and just engaged in what is coming. They're flying in alignment to where my person is positioned, and then they're making a U-turn that's pacing, going back and forth. It's demonic. Those are demons. They're doing it at the intersection of C Street and Euclid. The fake sun is at C Street and Euclid, June 6, 2025 at 6:10 p.m. in the same position. And that same position is over me, where the population includes demons flying commercial planes stalking me. And as I just documented at 7:19 a.m., as I continue walking, the entity is continuing to migrate as I migrate. So flying farther, and then doing the same thing, making another U-turn, progressing, migrating as I migrate, using commercial planes. You'll see that in images. Big old commercial planes hovering at a low elevation, doing donuts in the sky. Stalking, while the fake sun moves as I move as well. It's currently 7:20 a.m. This is P.O.C. License 9MRS635, 8RQZ297, 7AQE900. While the Ontario International Airport is stalking at Fern and D Street, while the fake sun remains over me and I'm walking down the street. And the people of the state are stalking as well. They cross path while the entity is gang stalking in aircrafts. You see this a lot where I'm documenting. I'll give you a screenshot of the demons stalking above in a plane or in a helicopter, and the demons that are crossing path, vehicles, pedestrians. They're demons that are gang stalking together. For example, on the sidewalk of Woodside Senior Apartments, where the entity kept the fake sun rising until setting, and pacing is clearly seen while the entity maintains that sidewalk as a means of gang stalking me inside of that apartment, and because that's where the fake sun is. So everybody walking all they're doing is pacing on that sidewalk all day long, and the entity is engaged in. They can go this way. The entity is engaged in keeping that fake sun. And as you would see the Ontario International Airport crossing path flying over Woodside Senior Apartments, you'll see the demons that are crossing path walking by me as I document very regularly on video at Woodside at Unit 51, the crossing path on foot while the demons are stalking in planes. That's what the entity is doing as I'm documenting, and I'm always showing you this. So then you're mindful of take that's the P.O.C, and put it in the bathroom, because that's what they're doing. The entity is stalking by plane and helicopter, stalking by every level of government while they're monitoring my vagina, and the people of the state are stalking in restrooms. Okay, that's P.O.C, not while I'm documenting. Not while I'm cruising on the internet, while my vagina is exposed, and they are stalking, just like they're stalking now, in planes. All right, that extreme conduct, it's also extreme that they're monitoring my vagina, that they like to use planes to monitor my vagina, that they like to go into bathrooms to stalk American citizens in order to monitor my vagina. And these are the people of the state that like to smile and engage in I'm tutoring my child at the OVITT Family Community Library. We're holding a program for the kids today at the OVITT Family Community Library. We're serving lunch today for the children at the OVITT Family Community Library, in the Montclair, Ontario School District is coming to provide those meals for the kids at the end. They're monitoring my vagina with and through those kids. 9RKT473. This is the significance of the people, the demons that surround on the ground while the entity maintains aerial surveillance. And you're also witnessing the mental illness. The more that I document, the more Satan does more with the plane and helicopter. You'll recognize that pattern. They are demons. They are actually demons, and they're very severely mentally ill. Satan is delusional with regard to perceiving some sort of challenge. There's no challenge when you're being prosecuted and exposed. But Satan is perceiving it as a challenge, so I'm going to do it again, and then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again,
And I'm going to do it again. And meanwhile, a federal case is accumulating. Federal charges, proof of stalking in an unheard of manner is proven by evidence. 9CCF 825, 8HNC 933. That's mental illness that's manifested in people who are demon possessed. And that's how I get years of evidence of stalking me in planes and helicopters. And the more that I document, you're going to prosecute the stalker and analyze that behavior, because the more that I document, the more psychopathic, the more aggressive and hostile the demon possessed stalkers get. And I'm just giving you some information context, because the spirit of Satan, that's characteristic of Satan's behavior, of Satan's attitude. And it's delusional. That's not a challenge. It's evidence to prosecute you. It's proof that you're stalking. Okay? That's the demons that are stalking. THXGRLZ 9TOE019. And it's very foolish. It's very, very foolish as with regard to what's the proof that you have that the government is stalking? Here you go, Your Honor. And I have a boatload of it, a surplus of it, a wealth of it. Okay, so anyway, it's currently 7:25 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, demons pacing, stalking as an entity, and molesting with light, 48077W3. That's license 7ULJ059, 8DVK572, 9BMX799. This is at 310. Let me give you the people of the state. Let me get a picture of where I'm located right now. This is 310 Vine Avenue. And it's currently, by the way, 7:35 a.m. Alrighty, here is the entity's fake sun. All right, and this is why the people of the state and how they're going to be prosecuted. This is light that's just appearing out of nowhere in the shade. All right, it's got the pattern of the gate that you can see up here on the ground. That's speaking to the trajectory of light. And this is the identification of third parties who are subject to documentation for a prosecution. And denial of knowledge of the target individual is legally irrelevant. You're going to prosecute while they're pacing in vehicles. Demons are stalking in the path, because that's what that is. License 48077W3. Monitoring at a place of residence. They're doing so in engineered light. For example, what you see here is I step into the shade, and here is my shadow on this wall. Absolutely impossible light activity. You're looking at what is an ongoing pattern. You will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law where you are gang stalking where you live. The government has no authority through the people of the state to engage in surveillance. And this is what this is proof of. While I am standing in the shade and the fake sun is over your venue, and I'm being molested with engineered light. This is what Starbucks is engaging in while a population is targeting me inside of that venue, and that's why Starbucks the corporation and Starbucks the gang stalking kidnappers at 507 North Euclid Avenue are going to federal prison. All right, this is 310. I'm on Vine Avenue. This is recognition of the people of the state, and this is not private property. The facilitating venue while the people target and engineer light moves across the venue. Those are psychopaths that are stalking. They also are monitoring my vagina. And I want to be clear, the entity that is gang stalking knows who you are. And while I'm at the library, the people that stayed at 310 Vine Avenue are monitoring. All I'm doing is documenting as I go from place to place. And that's because I'm one person, I'm a human being, and I'm showing you how the pattern of conduct works. The entire state of California is going to be prosecuted. This is impossible light activity. It's absurd. It's demonic. And the city of Ontario is gang stalking through the people, the entire population that's maintaining surveillance with it. This is a system, a targeting system, and these are not strangers that are stalking and monitoring. And I want to be clear, cameras is relevant to surveillance that the government uses to engage in what is targeting as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently, again, the pattern of conduct, stalking in the path. All right, doing so while they're monitoring me. And this is documentation of the entity stalking as I go from place to place. And this is the fake sun remaining in tow over me. That's P.O.C. It's currently 7:37 a.m. And this is also relevant to what LAPD is doing under a fake sun. That's not going to be over 310 Vine Avenue in Ontario. It's not going to create any of this light activity. And while demons drive by, impossible light is moving across my person as I'm showing you the impossible light where I am also being molested while it's stationary on the venues, not private property. You will not protect the government, and you're not going to be in the shoes of the government gang stalking, because that's what this is. But while they're doing that, but you're going to prosecute for it. This is P.O.C. This is not private property. The entity's exploiting the Constitution. I'm going to prosecute the demons of the Ontario Police Department. They're being disbanded. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:38 a.m. and you're listening to me document video at 310 Vine Avenue, where my shadow is appearing in the shade, and license 9RFJ937 is sharing in a sex offense committed as an entity, gang stalking. This is domestic terrorism that they're engaged in. 9BWR017, where the demon-possessed are lying psychopaths that engage in a system that is unspoken of, and you're going to prosecute them with the environment that is supernatural, the evidence of them stalking and monitoring you, and doing so with regard to knowledge of who you are. 56985C3, stalking with light in the path. 7RWG796, stalking with the demon that's stalking in the alley. License, let me see, it's currently 7:39 a.m. License plate at, this is Mesa Properties. Mesa Properties is a gang stalker. And license plate 7LLK450. License 8GBL119. License 24487E3. 8MEK078. 6KHZ501. 8F16033. And you're mindful of what the entity had. The entity has the fake sun over the Ontario Town Square. I'm making a abrupt about face and go back to 7-Eleven, and so does the fake sun, even over 310 Vine Avenue. License 9GON746. At what point in the natural environment is the sun going to do some sort of zigzag and magical, I guess, simultaneous presence over the Ontario Police Department at 9:32 a.m.? And to be over this San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department West Valley Detention Center at 9500 Etowanda Avenue. Don't forget that on July 4, 2025 at 12:51 p.m. in the manner that I'm documenting it. It's not. This is evidence of what is stalking proven through an environment that the demon-possessed are going to be prosecuted for and proven as stalkers. 8EEB622 and license 6BHC685. P.O.C. These little shacks that the people of the state are living in, they're gang stalking in them and doing so as an entity. You're looking at this demon that's maintaining light activity, and the moment that she gets into the vehicle is, again, as I'm walking, she's maintaining stalking with path and light. That's a demon. It is currently 7:41 a.m. and everybody that's gang stalking with her, I just documented in the alley. All right, they're monitoring where they live. They're exposing themselves to the public exposure for federal group stalking and monitoring terrorism as a city. The entity that's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring does not have any privacy. And that's also going to be the necessity of changing the laws while the entity exploits the exploits the Constitution, ARKS, while wanting to maintain some sort of illusion of privacy. They're also maintaining a delusional reality where you're gang stalking someone, violating the privacy in concert with the government, and yet you want to maintain your privacy, meaning you don't want me to put your social security number and your images and your children, that you're gang stalking me with on the internet. You're delusional. And I'm going to put that and everything else on the internet to expose you. It's called blowing the whistle. And if you don't want all your business on the internet, I suggest you stop gang stalking. These are delusional psychopaths. And everything that I have to prosecute you, to expose you, is exactly what's going to be published on the internet as the terrorist that you are. By the way, the government doesn't have any privacy. When you're gang stalking with the government, you will be exposed along with the government. 5ELP627. This is exposing and removing the illusions of the demons engaging in public corruption. You are not engaging in enjoying any benefits while gang stalking as the people of the state. I will embarrass you and expose you. 5WDH556. I will embarrass you, and that's a part of what is engaged. You want to gang stalk with the government? Well, be welcome to being treated like the government, because it's a public entity. You're gang stalking with them, and all of your information is going to be put on the internet. License plate, all of it. License 9HQP118. ARKS is gang stalking, sitting in the vehicle monitoring while the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking at the corner. All right, this is a public entity that's not private. License plate, surrounding at the corner, ARKS, and this demon in a black Jeep while the Ontario International Airport flies over the intersection. This is license plate. These are the demons whose information is put all over the internet. License plate, 8RNU803. This is P.O.C. Just turning in the middle of the intersection, gang stalking, while they're listening to me speak about how I'm putting all their information on the internet, and this is an unlawful threat. This is the Ontario police that thinks that they're going to threaten through the people. These are demons who are stalking at C Street and Fern under the fake sun, where the entity is gang stalking by commercial planes. P.O.C. That's exactly what you're putting all over the internet. That's exactly what you're publishing all over the internet. P.O.C. Those are psychopaths sitting around stalking where they live, sitting around stalking in bathrooms, sitting around stalking while they're holding the hands of kids that they're a threat to. Absolutely, you put that information all over the internet. Absolutely. They're not private citizens. They don't have private property. You're engaged in surveillance. Guess what? Guess what? That prosecution is reaching everywhere and to everyone. You have literally removed the protection of the Constitution while you're gang stalking with the government. You don't have it. You don't have it, and I'm going to prosecute you accordingly. 9 BCW 145, they just all engaged in what is terrorism and threatening conduct while pacing inside of the intersection while the entity flies over as I'm documenting that. Pay attention to what the entity just engaged in based on what it is that I'm speaking of as well. 9SNX 431, you'll see that uploaded to the images. All right, and this is why, again, the Ontario Police is being disbanded. 9KWY 599. So what the entity is also going to learn, this is a hard lesson, a bunch of hard lessons that criminals are going to learn and sex offenders are going to learn. When you engage in threatening the federal government, you're delusional. You're going to prison for that. 9MCP 204. This is at 307 and 309 C Street. Gang stalking, just like they are at 310 Vine, where the fake sun is over me and engineer light is appearing on the shade on the face of their home, while they have cameras there engaging in surveillance with the state, while they're molesting my person with impossible light. That's where the entity is flying over by commercial airline planes. And they're not taking off from 2500 Airport Drive. They're not taking off from 2900 Airport Drive. They're certainly not, while they're even west from my location now, still engaging with this asinine and unpersuasive and idiotic and heavily documented tactic of stalking in planes and perpetually acting like you're taking off no matter how far west you go. They're acting like they're taking off a mountain and Hope Boulevard as well. I'm documenting this. The entity stalking while I'm at the Starbucks, which is at Holt in San Antonio, flying over the Starbucks parking lot. 56673D3, pavement rehab, gang stalking. While that truck is dry crossing path, that's light activity. The truck lights itself is light activity, and engineer light on the ground while that truck crosses path. 72176F3, 8ZAV858. They're all monitoring while the Ontario International Airport crosses path, flying over their homes, deviating from an airport. 7Z1C153. Gang stalking immigrants are being deported. Gang stalking immigrants are being deported. License plate 8DUE763. This is all audible activity while they're monitoring under a fake sun that's over their homes. That's called a facilitating venue. That's Southwest Airlines. License 7RFA145. 8GAS983. And this is the entity that gets itself documented, exposes what the people of the state are doing with it, stalking. 8YLM194, 8AIB534. And this is the entity that engages in criminal summoning. License 6WPD748, and that's also why you're going to federal prison. 8TEY075. We Wash Car Pro. Hold on. License 18293 Nancy 2. We Wash Car Pro. All right, appears to be a Latino male operating that van, crossing path, stalking with the entity, maintaining presence, cutting off the path. This is the significance of stalking with light. This is what they're doing at nightfall. It's not their headlights. They're stalking with light. That's why I have multiple shadows. That's why it creates dynamic shadows when their headlights are not even aimed in that direction. It has nothing to do with headlights. Those are demons that are stalking with light, and their mental illness is fully exhibited. While they're all engaging in stalking with light under a whole fake sun, this is a mentally ill population who does not have any privacy whatsoever. They are being fully exposed, and you will expose everything that you have about them while they're gang stalking you with the state. That provides a wealth of evidence against them as well. It is currently 7:48 a.m. As you document the stalker, the stalker engaged in what is surrounding me at that intersection, which I captured in images, doing so by commercial plane, and 2 vehicles that are engaged in gang stalking me, doing so pursuant to a pattern of kidnapping via criminal summoning. It's the same entity. Doing so pursuant to what is harassment and ongoing physical violence and theft of property. That's the people of the state. Doing so while they're engaged in real-time monitoring. Title 18. That's the stalker engaging in that while I document and speak to the fact that I will put all your information
I'll put your kids' information on the internet. 8LCW984 because you're gang stalking me with them and you're a threat to them. License 8GDX452 because you're gang stalking with minor children. And you've made them sex offenders while they're monitoring in the bathroom with you. You've made them gang stalkers while you're monitoring in the specific environment with them. And I will document them. And you're the psychopath that puts them in that position. They're the cowards that put their kids in that position. 9PZF062. While your kids are documented, be prepared to lose custody of them. It is currently 7:49 a.m. So that's documentation of the unlawful threat posed by the people of the state. That's the government. All right, so that's the significance of stalking, arriving. They're like cockroaches. And as I speak to the fact that I'll put this on the internet, I'll put that on the internet, Satan, the psychopath that's taking evidence that's being accumulated to prosecute them as a challenge and then comes out like cockroaches surrounding at the intersection. Okay, and then flying at the same time, the demonic synchronicity flying over my head. This isn't a challenge, Satan. I'm exposing that. I'm going to prosecute for that documented threat. That's a threat while they're gang stalking further into murder and kidnapping. And those two license plates, they're acting as an entity, and that's the Ontario Police Department sharing in that criminal monitoring conduct, and that's the same entity that engages in criminal summoning. They're going to prison. The entity is going to federal prison for gang stalking with the state. License plate. Impossible light activity, license 9LYA853, gang stalking at Euclid and C Street. No, actually I'm at Laurel and C Street, and Euclid and C Street is east of, it's the next intersection. P.O.C. All of this that I'm documenting is relevant to federal prison for Tracy Banks maintaining a secret conservatorship, for Jason Isaac Fields engaging in what is an unlawful violation of my privacy rights, not engaging in any legitimate investigation, doing so in furtherance of the state's conspiracy, and Tracy Banks, his co-conspirator, his sex partner, his cult co-member, to defame my character, and then when they could not find anything to I guess convict me with when they're trying to steal my property when they don't have any basis to do so with a secret conservatorship. Then Jason Isaac Fields and the entity made up information about my character, and everything that they made up is relevant to the things that they do. They're the ones that engage in prostitution. They're the ones that engage in selling drugs. They're the ones that engage in fraudulent conduct. They're the ones that are engaged in trafficking children, molesting children, sexually violating children. They're the ones that are engaged in murders. They're the ones that have committed homicide. And this is the entity that engaged in that behind my back secretly pertaining to property that they never told me about. And this is why you have gang stalkers surrounding me at an intersection while they're all keeping me under surveillance. They're going to federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. All right? And so is Tracy Banks. It is currently 7:51 a.m. License 94156H3, gang stalking at Wells Fargo. This is P.O.C. You're looking at 94156H3, engaging what is stalking in the path with the method of light activity. And the fake sin is in perfect alignment. And it's the same entity that just engaged in surrounding me at the intersection as I speak to the reality that you will, as any government that is targeting you, you expose, you submit complaints against the state. Well, guess what? The state's engaged in gang stalking with the people of the state. And these delusional psychopaths are thinking that they're going to both enjoy the umbrella of the constitutional protections of privacy while they're violating yours with the government. They have a grand surprise coming. I've been publishing the entity gang stalking. You want to gang stalk with your kids? You want to lose your kids. You want to engage in monitoring me and doing so while I'm going to document you? You deserve every aspect of exposure that you're getting. The entity is entirely psychopathic. You're dealing with the spirit of Satan. You're not dealing with sane individuals. First of all, they're gang stalking. Second of all, then they are expecting that they're going to be treated as though they are in this substantially similar situation as another American citizen that they're keeping under surveillance. They're delusional. They're delusional. And these are the same imps that can't even spell Constitution, so they don't even understand the legal framework regarding what they're doing and how it's going to be prosecuted. So, all right, this is what I'm approached with, and it's relevant to an unlawful threat to my life. While I enforce my rights, and I contest and I resist, and I enforce my rights, and I also enforce the law, because I'm going to prosecute for that as well. The demons who are stalking and then engage in ongoing obstruction of justice, because that's what I've been subject to while I'm enforcing the law. I'm the only one abiding by the law and what the law dictates, and what the law would dictate upon facts proven federal group stalking and monitoring, surveillance by the government, including with the population. How do you deal with that under the laws as they exist and under laws that shall come into existence? How do you do that? And that's what the P.O.C. provides. It is in dealing with the delusional, demon-possessed population who are hostile to that. They're a bunch of psychopaths that want to monitor my vagina and then maintain their secrecy, maintain their privacy, which is an illusion. It doesn't exist because surveillance is underway while they're gang stalking me. Those unintelligent demons, I'm going to prosecute for the unlawful threat. That's built into the prosecution of the public entity. All right, it's currently 7:54 a.m. at the Ontario Town Square, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun, and now engaged in what is hovering over the Ontario Town Square. All right, so the more that I migrate, that's where the entity is focusing on plane activity, as though they're taking off right there. That's why much northwest of this location and west of this location at Stater Brothers, they're clearly deviating, hovering throughout the city to then be at a low elevation, taking off over the Stater Brothers parking lot, to be taking off over 325 West G Street. This is the entity this is why you document, in order to show the asinine tactics of demons who are unintelligent and who have never been faced with what is accountability for what they're doing, and they cannot and they will not be able to answer the questions for it. But this is relevant to the federal government that's going to pay attention from now on regarding surveillance that is underway amongst the airports, in the states, where they're engaged in surveillance in the business of those venues, where surveillance is underway, and how the entity should be subject to routine explanations, but routine I would say explanations that they need to be accountable for with regard to what they're doing at the airports, because the entity that's just engaged in what is taking any manner of flights, they publish on the website of the Ontario International Airport flights that they're taking, all the airlines, and the only two terminals, Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. I'm documenting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, stalking by the commercial airline planes at Woodside Senior Apartments. That's not published on the website. And there's nobody that's posing any questions or looking into those sort of details. That's the level of checks that need to be implemented with regard to corruption. That is, I've proven that the entity is engaged in surveillance, engaged in what is suspicious and inappropriate conduct, uncharacteristic of an airport that's engaged in what are taking flights from the airport to a destination for a price for people that are expecting a flight to depart, and to arrive. The entity is engaged in all manner of stalking using planes throughout the city, all over the city. Okay, so nobody's asking any questions. Nobody's engaged in any sort of system of checking of what's going on, and there's no one that's providing any sort of oversight. Okay, and so that's what's necessary with regard to the system of surveillance and how the entity engages in surveillance. And this is just common sense. There's unfettered discretion here, and it is unwarranted because the government cannot be trusted. That's what gang stalking proves. You cannot be trusted. At least the state of California cannot be trusted. And once this is the case, once this is established, then you're talking about what are necessary aspects of oversight, because the entity is engaged in surveillance and gang stalking, criminal monitoring, targeting, through unheard of methods, including every level of government, including things like a whole airport, and airlines that are cooperating with that. Alaska Airlines takes international flights. They have no business hovering over, and I don't have to see the details of where they have no business hovering over the Ontario Town Square. They take international flights outside of the U.S. and they're hovering over the Ontario Town Square, hovering. I can see the face of the Hawaiian on the side of the plane. That's how low they're flying. And they're doing it where the fake sun is. It's obvious surveillance, and it's every airline. It's not just Alaska Airlines. I'm just giving you that example. The entity is doing the same thing with Southwest Airlines, which takes flights to Sacramento and San Francisco. Okay, the entity is stalking. The entity is stalking with planes. The entity is stalking with planes in this specific environment. The entity is stalking with planes in a documented manner that's in conformity to the P.O.C. And this is speaking for what is necessary oversight. All right, the airport authority, aviation, they cannot be trusted. They're engaged in surveillance in the United States. All right, and there are different areas for different areas in the country and in each state, and there needs to be oversight because they're engaged in what I've exposed, what I've documented, what I've observed and experienced, all manner of just ridiculous chicanery with the planes, and clearly nobody has any oversight. They're just doing whatever they want because there's an airport. That's going to change, and that's a straightforward tactic. Because when you're clearly deviating from, wait, if this is the airport and you have this time scheduled, what are you doing way over there off of far from where the planes are? That's a very straightforward way of identifying what the entity is doing with regard to targeting. Okay, they're not able to do that so easily, and it's going to require corruption. And when you have such oversight, everybody that's engaged in, everybody's fired. Everybody loses. It's very easy to maintain, but there's just no oversight whatsoever because everybody is freaking corrupt. All of them. That's not an exaggeration. Everyone is freaking corrupt. This is how you get there. Everyone has compromised. Everyone is engaged in it. Everyone. And it's a shame. It's a crying shame. But anyway, it's currently 7:59 a.m. This is the Ontario Town Square that's engaged in monitoring. That's not landscaping. They're doing so under the fake sun. They're monitoring me. This is P.O.C. 3816723. 9HYX773, 9DFK437, 6XCP114, 9MHN922, 8VXF855, 8JDK078, 8F20447, 9NSW952. It's 9:39 a.m. Molesting, license 8TJX330. That's a female. Molesting with impossible light. They're stalking at the C Street turn circle as I walk across the street. 8DYN688. And the OVITT Family Community Library is maintaining a festival for the mentally incapacitated, and they're all gang stalking under the fake sun while they hold another event for the special needs. The special needs are gang stalking in California. You will see the exact same specific environment. This is the government that acts via children, acts via those that are mentally incapacitated. Emphasis that is gang stalking at the Starbucks. The fake sun's not over the Starbucks, and they're here gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library with the City of Ontario, maintaining their festivities, maintaining their programs under the fake sun, monitoring the same terrorism, impossible light, while demons like 9KG034 cross path, and they're calling it a program for the special needs today. This is the City of Ontario engaged in the P.O.C. It's 10 a.m. This is P.O.C. at the 215 E.C. Street, the OVITT Family Community Library. 7NRY504, 7RGZ486, that's a female, stalking with impossible light, and so is 61590Y2. They're stalking in the path with hazard lights while they're calling this some sort of event for the special needs. Let me be clear, the demon-possessed are special needs, all right? They're special need for what is exposure and federal prosecution, mental asylums, and federal prison. License 9GIZ665, special needs while a demon is crossing paths with impossible light activity. Special needs, a demon operating a FedEx vehicle, license 23752Z3, gang stalking as a corrupt company with impossible light on the asphalt while that special needs demon-possessed gang stalker crosses path. That's both the business FedEx and the demon operating the FedEx vehicle under a fake sun, where the special needs are demon-possessed gang stalking under a fake sun that remains over this same venue all day long. All right, this is P.O.C. This is 215 E.C. Street. All right, 10:08 a.m.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Hi. Oh, I figured everybody was outside at the program. Well, actually, I was here first, but I think they have a reservation. I just wanted to find out if you had any reservations.
Sure, I'll take.
I'm not sure what room they're in, so I can't.
I'll check. Sorry about the wait.
They're gonna let you in. Thanks.
All right, take care. Can I get the name for the reservation?
Matthew or Robert?
And you just wanted to check if there was anything.
If there's a reservation, I mean a free room available, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
How cute. have like,
check which room you folks are in.
that's all the gifts I see, huh? Dum, 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 dum.
Okay, perfect. Follow me. Room 1. All right. Did you guys need the markers and eraser? No. Okay.
It is 10:09 a.m. That is P.O.C. The coming, checking out, waiting. This is all relevant positioning, light activity. And while they have the so-called special needs, understand the demon-possessed are special needs. They are pacing together under the same fake sun, i.e. special needs, with impossible light moving across the ceiling, while the so-called classification of special needs is a self-made hierarchy amongst the mentally ill who are gang stalking inside of the library.
Hi.
Okay. So we got our next available appointments at 11:30.
Would that be for the whole 2 hours, or?
Yeah, 11:30 to 1:30.
Yeah, that'll work. That's fine.
All right, perfect. First name and last name, please.
Erica Spencer. You want my library number, or do you need the card?
Yes, please.
225-200-603-7209.
Okay. Is it 7029 or 7209? Because we have 7029 for some.
That's probably 7029.
Oh, okay. I mean, you got
You're
everything
probably
else
right.
you got like spot on.
7029, okay.
All right, perfect. And we said 11:30 to 1:30. So
Yeah, you know it's 7-Eleven today? So it's like free Slurpees at
Yeah,
7-Eleven.
you're right. That's right. Did you get your Slurpee?
I did, and I remembered it when I was already here. I was like,
Maybe I'll get some.
You should go,
after
though. I'm
my
just spreading the
break.
word. Yeah, go get a free Slurpee.
Yeah. Okay, Erica, you're set today. 11:30 to 1:30.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Have a good one. All right, this is 215 East C Street, impossible light activity while they're opening and closing the door. This is the same pattern of conduct at Starbucks that you see on video. The special needs defendant, Patty, while she is stalking in the path inside of that Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and the engineer light, that's an identification of somebody that is special needs. The entity that's engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct is exhibiting severe mental illness, severe mental incapacity. They're demented. They're engaging in that which would be akin to synonymous with what is special needs, while the entity is engaging in gang stalking. All right, the entity, the demon-possessed, maintain their own little self-imposed hierarchy amongst themselves, and they're all demons pacing around me under a fake sun. There is no distinction with regard to the special needs that's gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library, and the special needs of the Ontario Police Department are being relieved from their duties as well. It's currently 10:12 a.m. This is P.O.C. while the entity is monitoring at the OVITT Family Community Library all day. P.O.C. All right, you're looking at that special needs population that works at the OVITT Family Community Library. Engaging in what demonstrating special needs by maintaining surveillance, stalking conduct, lying in wait in places like bathrooms. All right, this is what I'm documenting right now. This is, I believe, going into the workforce department. Oh, okay, it's locked. All right. Anyway, you will see this heavy set female with impossible light activity, her perpendicular shadows speaking to her stalking me in the bathroom, and the demons that are again monitoring evidence. I step out of the bathroom because they don't want to be documented. So she hurries up behind me. She doesn't wash her hands or anything in order to avoid being captured. But listen, you don't have to get the specific third party. I do that for embarrassing and showing the sex offenders' identities. But you don't have to get the entity. That's the Ontario Police stalking in the bathroom. That's the City of Ontario. That's the mayor stalking in the bathroom. All right, that's the government maintaining devices, maintaining presence to keep you under surveillance in the bathroom. And it's criminal presence. And this is why the government should not be engaging in surveillance, because it's going to be a massive prosecution for an unprecedented sex offense committed in an unprecedented manner through a whole population of those of whom are entirely special needs, engaging in this manner of stalking someone, and for the criminal and corrupt purposes in the first place in doing it, and also in all of the ways in which they're doing that, engaging in the P.O.C, which is demonstrating a special needs population, okay? I find it fitting that they maintain a program today outside under the fake sun and calling it what is acknowledging the special needs population. The demon-possessed gang stalkers are the special needs population, and the world needs to know about them. They're engaged in the pattern of conduct while they're monitoring me in places like the bathroom. It's 10:17 a.m. This is the perpetual sex offense, P.O.C. It is currently 12:31 p.m. This is documentation of federal stalking by the City of Ontario. They're engaged in, first of all, I want to be clear, the City of Ontario Wi-Fi, the City of Ontario Library Wi-Fi, the entities engaged in massive surveillance and using what is the internet where surveillance is underway. First of all, number one, this is federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2, that the city is going to be prosecuted for. They're monitoring while the entity is using the Wi-Fi. This is massive surveillance that's underway while I'm subject to the P.O.C. So I want to point that out. And the entity is engaged in what is pacing inside of the library. So you'll see me capturing images of the people that say these are demons, number one. Number two, these are gang stalkers. They're third parties. They're inside of the state facilitating venue of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun sits over the building, as I've documented. 10 o'clock in the morning, fake sun over the building. 5:27 p.m., Ontario police gang stalk me by helicopter. The fake sun is still over the building. This is the entity where you're looking at them inside of the building. They're engaged in criminal conduct. They're stalking, literally by presence in the venue. Not only that, they're engaged in surveillance, and this is what I was documenting while I was publishing videos last night. And the City of Ontario is engaged in ongoing federal stalking with the intent to obstruct justice, merely the pettiness of engaging in what is harassment, stopping and starting the internet, with regard to interfering with the operation of my devices, both on my cell phone while I'm connected to the Ontario Library Wi-Fi and on my laptop when I'm connected to the Ontario Library Wi-Fi. And the entity is causing the audio to go in and out, and it's occurring with simultaneity to the demon-possessed that are gang stalking inside of the library, pacing around with multiple shadows, pacing around like psychopaths, by the way. And this is what I also want to give the entity's context regarding sex offenders that are all together engaging in this psychopathic and demented behavior, special needs that engaged in what are pacing around pursuant to my vagina, that they're also keeping under surveillance in the bathroom inside of this library. The entities engaged in surveillance in relevant positions. Surveillance is underway in the engineer light inside of the library under the fake sun. And the entities engaged in surveillance, excuse me, is engaged in surveillance inside of the bathroom of this library, where the demons are engaged in what is also surveillance on the venue of the internet. Engaged in what is ongoing interference with operation of my device. This is pursuant to criminal surveillance. And so I want to document every employee. This is relevant to federal stalking. You'll be prosecuted by your place of employment. You'll be prosecuted with regard to the people of the state that are engaged in surveillance inside of the venue. It is all races and all ages. The people of the state use children, as you see them gang stalking with their strollers. And also pay attention to demon-possessed, the psychopaths, the spirit of Satan, okay, that's using these people. Who know they choose to be used, but you're speaking to what is a spirit. So the entity that is special needs, they engage in what is that psychopathic pattern of conduct. As I document the sick means of gang stalking, you will notice that they will engage in that means. So as I was speaking to gang stalking with children, you're seeing the demons. They're always gang stalking with kids inside of the library. The City of Ontario is going to be prosecuted for surveillance, and it is inherent to what is the ongoing involvement of minor children, contribution to the delinquency of them while they're gang stalkers by virtue of the government and the people of the state gang stalking. But nonetheless, the business itself, OVITT Family Community Library, they maintain a whole child area. They engage in what is using children to engage in psychological torture and bathroom monitoring and activity creation under the fake sun, where they have those children engage in what is demonic pacing at the instruction of the demon-possessed, the special needs entity that's engaged in gang stalking me, and doing so pursuant to real-time knowledge of the documentation that I'm capturing. The entities engaged in this P.O.C. and engaged in what is ongoing interference with the operation of the internet, which is what the employees are going to be prosecuted for. It's federal stalking, and what the demons that are pacing around inside of the venue are engaging in while they walk around an engineer light and maintain simultaneous that demonic synchronicity, the impact on the operation of the internet. That's the significance of everything happening under the fake sun as well. They're not flying while the fake sun is under me in the natural environment. That's audible activity in engineered light that affects the internet. It affects your communication devices. It's pursuant to surveillance. It's pursuant to monitoring, and it's demonic. The entity is doing so inside of the venue where they're all walking around, and this is the entity that's engaged in what is ongoing pacing as a group. They're all a bunch of demons, and it's not random, ongoing walking in all manner of direction. This is actually highly organized, diligent pacing pursuant to
focus of all the demon possessed are aware of what I'm doing. This is the reality of what they're doing. They're all aware of what I'm doing at the same time, and they're maintaining ongoing diligent presence in my path while they're all in engineered light. And your ability to know the truth of what I'm describing to you is the fact that they're walking in impossible light that's inside of the library. No artificial lights, no lighting that you're buying, light bulbs that you're placing, creates what are the perpendicular shadows, the multiple shadows, the magnified size of shadows, and it's the same light activity that I'm documenting outside, including in the dark and under the fake sun, okay? This is what an entity is engaging in with regard to demons that are all focused on me at one time. They are indeed special needs. This is a population of a special needs entity that's engaging in what are demented patterns of stalking one person, and their entire system is being exposed. And the more that you expose it, that special needs spirit of Satan that is operating over a group of people, they're engaged in what is more and more demented behaviors. The Latino male that you will see pacing around in the images that I captured, he has begun this psychopathic conduct as I began taking pictures, which again, the demons are acting like they're not aware that you're documenting them. They're monitoring the evidence against them. And the more as I, capture images of him, the more demented stalking he's engaging in. He's pacing repeatedly. Black shorts, gray t-shirt, black tennis shoes. He's engaged in what is ongoing psychopathic conduct. He's monitoring with the government, and it's criminal activity. All right, it's criminal, and the entity is doing so. He is engaging in what is Satan, what I was describing earlier. As I document demons who are psychopaths, these are special needs, they engage in what is Satan, the spirit of Satan is the root of this mental illness, the special needs condition of the people of the state, and the state that's gang stalking. The entity is engaging in what is maintaining this behavior of stalking in commercial planes, and the special needs, that mental illness of that entity is taking it as though it's some sort of challenge, which is delusional. There's only a challenge in the mind of the psychopath that's stalking. I'm prosecuting you, and I'm going to submit evidence about your stalking and all the ways, the demented ways that you are stalking, in order to establish the fact that you are special needs and you require mental examinations, which is going to be built into the prosecution for gang stalkers. The same character of the evidence, which is underway in here. Stalking by a commercial plane, stalking by helicopter. The more that I document it, the more that the special needs demons engage in it. This is what this third party is doing. He's acting as an entity, however, okay, but he's acting like he's now on a running track, a track where he's engaged in what is pacing around, and did so the moment that I started taking pictures, and did so the moment that I started recording. Essentially, when I started recording, I took a picture. He's crossing path, as they all are. But as I took a picture, and then I start recording, this is the same spirit, that special needs spirit, taking as though it's some sort of challenge, or as though it becomes more and more normal, like the engineered light is disappearing, like everybody forgot about the fake sun, and that you just feel like acting like you're on the racing track inside of the library. And this is the entity that's engaging in that demented pacing conduct. And so you will see him. It is currently, want to be clear, this is a sex offender also monitoring my vagina with real-time knowledge of what's going on with my vagina in the bathroom. It's 12:39 p.m. and this is pacing in front of the library study room that I'm inside of, affecting real-time operation of the environment. And it is shared by the entire entity. All they're doing is pacing around. And that is indeed the conduct of the special needs population that's gang stalking. It's surveillance and it's state action. In the city of Ontario, I want to be clear, the use of the Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi themselves, it's criminal conduct. The entities engaging in surveillance through the Wi-Fi, both the city of Ontario Wi-Fi and the Ontario Library Wi-Fi, they're engaged in federal stalking through that. So I want to document, the entity is doing this while I was publishing videos last night. The entity is doing it based on the substance of what it is that I'm talking about. The demons that are, again, engaging in what is monitoring me, obsessing over me, and literally trying to control what it is that I hear. And that is the volume going in and out of the video. It's not stopping my ability to consume whatever it is that I am free to consume on the internet, I mean, within the bounds of the law. But the entity is engaging what is outside of the bounds of the law, engaged in interfering with my ability to view what the demons are triggered by if I'm watching particular YouTube videos, and as I'm publishing evidence in particular, as I begin eating a potato chip, as I'm watching the video, the sound of the video goes out as they're monitoring my movements, monitoring me inside, which is occurring in engineered light while psychopaths are pacing in circles in front of this study room. This is an entity that's this is a demon-possessed person that's engaging in that, by the way. All right, it's currently 12:41 p.m. Special needs, that's a superficial distinction amongst the demon-possessed. The special needs are demon-possessed just like those that don't consider themselves possessed, but they're not sane individuals. They're all gang stalking. The entity that is demon-possessed is special needs, and it's an appropriate title. And it is also appropriate that they maintain a program today for the special needs because it is shared by the entirety of the people of the state. The Ontario Police Department are special needs. They're demons, they're psychopaths that engage in stalking and monitoring my vagina. They do so in a highly malicious manner and demented patterns, such as flying in circles, like this demon is walking in circles inside of the library in Engineer Light. They are very much special needs, and their special needs are going to be met when they are prosecuted and appropriately diagnosed for the mental illness that is closeted, but it's no longer closeted as gang stalking is being exposed. It's currently 12:42 p.m. This is federal stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. Okay, this is documentation that you'll see right now that I captured. Real-time monitoring on devices. This is pursuant to surveillance, and it's also demonic. It's referred to as stalking with activity. It occurs, activity is created, a change in activity, in other words, a light turning on after no light is on, or noise occurring that is punctuating physical movement. That's pursuant to somebody watching you. Like if you start walking, the moment you start walking, I do like that. That's monitoring, and that's what demons do. Demons do it without looking at you, talking to you, and acting like it's not happening. Those are psychopaths. Those are the special needs. That's the special needs entity that is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring that fills the library of OVITT Family Community Library. So what you'll see, for example, while I am taking pictures of the monitoring, the federal stalking, the City of Ontario that's engaged in Title 18 federal stalking with the people of the state, I take a picture of, well, didn't see it, just right now, 12:59 p.m. and 55 seconds. I do take a picture of my laptop, and you can see what's highlighted blue. Those are the headphones that JLab USB audio. That's reference to the headphones that I'm using as I take a picture at 12:59 p.m. And you will see 12:59 p.m. and 57 seconds. So that's 2 seconds later. It's immediate. Okay. So I guess I take the picture at 55. And at 57 seconds, that's with simultaneity because I hear it immediately. So I guess 2 seconds passes. And I take another picture, and you will see the MacBook Pro speakers lit up on my laptop. And you will also see the volume goes to mute. And that's because the volume function, the output has been changed, not by me. It's occurring with simultaneity to the operation of my device. This is pursuant to what is controlling the operation of my device. Excuse me. And this control that is not my exercise of control over it, as I am using my cell phone, taking a picture of the screen on my laptop, immediately with simultaneity, the audio function changes immediately. And this is going from the headphone function to the MacBook Pro speakers. And you will also see, as I take the picture at 12:59 p.m. and 55 seconds, the volume is on as I'm listening in the headphones. And after I take this picture, you will see that the volume is at mute as it switches on its own to the MacBook Pro speakers. This is pursuant to criminal monitoring that everybody inside of the OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in. And this is indeed a demon that you saw, the Latino male with the gray shirt, black shorts, and black tennis shoes. This is a demon that engaged in more and more aggressive conduct, more psychopathic. This is special needs behavior. While the demons are documented, they engage in more of that which they're engaging in, as I documented. So this demon began, instead of like the rest of them just crossing path like they're going somewhere, I'm going to sit down, oh, I'm looking for a book, or I'm looking for a DVD, or I'm just perusing with my kids, I'm going over here, I'm going over there. This demon begins going back and forth over and 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 over again as I began documenting, specifically by taking a picture and then recording. This is relevant to the pattern of conduct, the behavioral, the personality behind the special needs, this spirit of this entity that is mentally sick, engaging in gang stalking. All right, and they're doing it in that environment. The proof of their mental illness is their stalking conduct that's supposed to be happening in a covert, surreptitious manner, and in a way that the no one is supposed to know of. They don't speak of it. They just practice it. And they're engaging in it while I am simultaneously exposing it and pursuant to real-time knowledge of what it is I'm exposing, because you don't have an ongoing coincidence of doing more of that which I'm documenting. They are engaging in, as mentally ill, as a special needs population, they engage in more psychological torture, more harassment, more terrorism, more demented behaviors designed to monitor another person, that is, keep a person under surveillance, as they are documented engaging in, and it's directly relevant to their special needs status, their mental illness, okay? This is the demon possessed. So this is speaking to surveillance on communication devices, and it is occurring as I capture, again, at 1 p.m. and 4 seconds, that I'm connected to the Ontario Library Wi-Fi. This is just giving you an example of what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis. Repeatedly engaging in what is monitoring. Remember, this is also giving insight into the purpose of what the special needs population is engaging in while they're gang stalking. Psychological torture, stalking with activity creation is not just about making noise in the environment. The entity is actually focused on the targeted individual. So when I, for example, and I've documented this, while I have been serving to provide what is a basic means of diagnosing the special needs of the demons that are engaged in gang stalking, they engage in what is activity creation that's based on what the targeted individual is doing. So it is about harassing through loud noises. It is about molesting with impossible light. It is about harassing by pacing all around you, especially as you know that they're demons and they know that you are able to see in the spirit, if you will, spiritually discern what they're doing. The demon possessed engage in more of that. And that's very foolish when you're engaged in conduct that is being documented, such as stalking, clear deviation using planes, meaning you're not doing something spiritual, you're doing something physical that is being documented, and it's going to be supported in court. It's going to be submitted in a court to support a prosecution. But this is rooted in what they do spiritually, and what the demon possessed do, the special needs population, they engage in with, a malice, meaning you don't even know what they're engaging in around you. So that's what they're always engaging in and what they rely on. Now, this doesn't work when you're being prosecuted for gang stalking, and I'm using tangible evidence to prove that you're stalking me. The entity is very unintelligent. They're more obsessed, engaged in this demonic conduct, than they are realizing that they're being prosecuted for what they are doing, and everybody can see what they're doing. And you also have context regarding the spiritual significance of what they're doing, and that spiritual significance is relevant to their mental illness, their special needs status, and psychological torture, okay? So the entity that's engaging in what is psychological torture, and it's premised upon what the target individual is doing, this is what is relevant, because the entity is engaging in what is interfering with the operation of my device, and stalking with activity is done with regard to the headphones. Going from the use of my headphones to hear the YouTube video that I'm viewing, to what is the MacBook, and that's to interfere with what I can hear, because my MacBook volume is down to mute. So as the entity is monitoring on my device with simultaneity, and you're doing that with simultaneity because you're monitoring the use of my device, that's speaking to knowledge, that's speaking to monitoring, that's speaking to surveillance, that's speaking to federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. The entity, and that's the significance of the specific environment that is also inside of the library, not just the fake sun over the library, but all the multiple shadows that everybody has while they are all pacing. Okay, this is putting everything that's going on inside of the library into context, where a special needs population does not want that status to be known, while they engage in what is no longer a secret means of stalking someone, and their mental illness is no longer a secret either. Now, when you are engaging in what is stalking with activity, it is designed to psychologically torture. Now, the entity is not only interested, they're not interested, and it's not necessary that they make loud noises, because the entity is engaging what is stalked with activity through what is the discrete means of just affecting the devices that I'm using, meaning switching from headphones to the MacBook, where it's stopping my ability to hear the audio, and repeatedly doing this over and over again, which is relevant to merely harassing me and engaging in what is domestic terrorism. The stalking with activity, that simultaneity of stalking conduct, that's demonic, that's going to be prosecuted as domestic terrorism. It's also relevant to psychological torture. The entity maintains an ongoing pattern pursuant to monitoring, and it is psychologically harmful conduct that the entity is inflicting. And the entity that's engaging in that is the special needs entity that's engaged in gang stalking. So the entity that's doing so, I just wanted to point this out, that stalking with activity is not necessarily that which is
requiring loud activity because the entity is doing it through my headphones. So the entity is focused very much on that targeted individual with regard to stalking with activity. I have documented this before, for example, inside of Tracy Banks, and it could be anywhere, but I'm just using, for example, inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, when I am documenting amplified audible activity because the special needs population at Woodside Senior Apartments, the same entity, gang stalking at a senior citizen complex where the fake sun would never be over the OVITT Family Community Library like it was, it never was. It remained over the apartment building where I documented from sunrise to sunset. And nonetheless, the entity is maintaining a grand deviation. It's an obvious and straightforward prosecution, and it's also an obvious special needs population that's going to be treated accordingly with regard to the prosecution for domestic terrorism gang stalkers who are very much special needs. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and where I am inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, and I put on headphones and I am listening to rain, okay? I'm listening to the sound of rain, blocking out the noise. This is where the entity will resort to stalking with activity using impossible light activity that you can see, as opposed to audible activity that you could hear. This is another example where the demons are demonstrating that the focal point is the targeted individual and the activity creation is not necessarily that which is loud that everybody else is hearing it, but it is that, let me point this out. The entity that is monitoring and doing so through the headphones, all the demons can hear that. You're dealing with what is spiritual. What's going on my headphones, what the entity is doing with regard to interfering with the operation of my device, they're all aware of it. This is demonic. They are all listening to and know what I'm listening to. Okay, so perhaps this is helping one understand that what you hear, what you see, this is spiritual in context. And those demonic spirits that are gang stalking me, who are going to be treated in the physical as a special needs population based on their criminal conduct that is very demented and harmful to other people while they target in the demented manners that they do, it's spiritually significant what you hear and what you see. The demon possessed are able to hear. They know what I'm looking at. They know what I'm listening to. And that's how you're also able to engage in the pattern of conduct using my headphones and my laptop and as I use my cell phone. Okay, so I just want to point that out, and that's an example where the entity doesn't necessarily create loud, amplified, booming noise. The entity will supplement with regard to affecting, that is psychologically torturing the targeted individual. Well, fine, since you won't hear the audible activity, now we'll create light activity because your eyes are open, because we're monitoring you and we know that you can see the impossible light activity because the purpose is to psychologically torture that person. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct with regard to sensational activity as well, that which you can feel. If your eyes are closed and you can't see the impossible light activity, if you're listening to headphones and you can't hear the audible activity, well then the entity will engage in what is psychologically torturing you with sensational activity that you can feel. And this is how you have something impossible like the floor on the living room inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, the couch shaking when there's no earthquake. It's demonic. It's domestic terrorism. The entity is going to be prosecuted. This is very much a special needs population, and all the tactics of psychological warfare are going to be used to diagnose their mental illness, which is akin to what is more psychopathic and antisocial, while they will be very much diagnosed for the mental illnesses that are proven through the behavioral patterns that they practice and also the malicious manner where they engage in that targeting conduct. So I want to point that out. This is federal stalking that the City of Ontario is engaging in while they are interfering with my devices. That's criminal activity. It's pursuant to surveillance. And the entity is doing it, but I want to be clear, Ontario Wi-Fi is literally a criminal means of surveillance by the City of Ontario, and also Ontario Library Wi-Fi, criminal means of surveillance by the City of Ontario. And the demons are walking around engaged. Like when I say criminal conduct by presence, that's exactly what I mean. All of this is surveillance that the government has no constitutional right to engage in. I'm prosecuting you while you show up at work. I'm prosecuting while you come to check out a book. I'm prosecuting you while you're parked outside in relevant position returning a book. Whatever the demons presuppose that they can engage in and that nobody knows what they're doing. First of all, you're going to be diagnosed for your mental illness through that malicious pattern of conduct of targeting another person in a way that the federal government is no longer ignorant about. And in addition to that, you will be prosecuted for gang stalking. This is how they're engaging, and it's public corruption. It's 1:13 p.m. I wanted to give, that is 13:13. Anyway, I wanted to give that context about what the entity is doing and the significance of the pictures that I'm taking. I'm capturing pictures relevant to what is surveillance, federal stalking. Okay, this is
D1 7. That is monitoring on my device as I am using my device with simultaneity, adjusting the volume going from my headphones to the computer. And so I changed my computer off of mute so that you can hear the entity that is monitoring on my communication device with simultaneity to my operation. It's happening in Engineer Light. This is federal stalking that the City of Ontario is engaging and the people of the state inside of the library monitoring as well. This is relevant to video documentation that I am publishing on December 6, 2021 at 2:57 p.m., where the same City of Ontario with the Ontario Police Department stalked by helicopter is the video that I'm currently editing and publishing. It's 3:14 p.m. They're all monitoring. There's no shelter inside of their addresses. This is where I'm at, and this is where it's a facilitating venue where you live. That is. Alrighty, so as I type on my, I'm connected to Ontario Library Wi-Fi. This is the entity that's engaging in what is interrupting with the quiet area in the library while monitoring on my device. This is harassment by the entity as well. It is currently 2:57 p.m. All right, as I select copy and paste. Criminal activity
As I select copy and paste again.
Activity. 70 JZ. Inside of their addresses. This is where I'm at, and this is where. Alrighty, it is 3:17 p.m. Ongoing vacillation of my device on its own, going from the headphones where I'm listening to it to the MacBook by itself. This is not a malfunction. This is monitoring, and it's in the specific environment while the people of the state are monitoring on my device as well. This is documentation of ongoing terrorism and harassment while the entity is engaged in federal stalking under Title 18.
Okay, this is the documentation that I am capturing in images on my device pursuant to the federal stalking that the entity is maintaining. And this is, again, while I'm documenting dozens and dozens of videos and with everything that I edit as I copy and paste information into the description box as I open up a video and review it, the entity engaging what is interfering with the operation of my devices with simultaneity to as I use my cell phone, as I listen to a YouTube video in the background while I am looking at my own documentation and I'm publishing it at the same time. The entity is engaging in this method of what is merely harassment because it's not stopping the publishing, and it's also not a malfunction of my laptop or my phone. It's happening with simultaneity to my operation of my device, and the entity is engaged in what is also demonic, this operation of my device that's happening by itself, okay? This is pursuant to monitoring its activity creation, and the people of the state are sitting around monitoring to that, okay? They do the same thing with regard to, at the same time that they pace by me, the operation of my device is behaves in the same manner while they engage in what is stalking with noise, for example, somebody hitting a desk, and then my device is affected with simultaneity. This is the means whereby the demon possessed are engaged in monitoring and its documentation. So when you can hear it, that's my voice because it's my documentation. The video specifically, I took a picture of it because this is what you'll see on the Google Drive that I was documenting last night as I was publishing all the evidence and onto YouTube. And this is what I'm including in the description box with regard to federal stalking that the entity is engaged in. OVITT Family Community Library engaged in Title 18 federal stalking with intent to harass and obstruct operation of internet and devices as evidence. My video evidence is what I'm referring to as evidence incriminating the venue, because as I'm publishing the evidence, the demons that are hostile, they're also hostile because I'm prosecuting this venue as I heavily refer to the OVITT Family Community Library, as I'm publishing evidence at the OVITT Family Community Library, as I'm juxtaposing the P.O.C. with the OVITT Family Community Library, and I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library while they're monitoring still to date. Okay, so that's what I'm stating as evidence incriminating the venue as published, which is pursuant to surveillance. The venue and all of the people of the state share engagement inside the venue. These are in parentheses, a parenthetical reference with regard to demons that are monitoring. This is federal stalking. So while you're hearing me type on my device and you can hear the content on the computer, that's the moment where that's happening on its own as I start typing, and then it's switching from my headphones where you're not able to hear it, or maybe you can hear it still in my headphones if it's picking it up, but you can hear it loudly when it goes to my MacBook, which is at a volume where it's picking up so that I'm documenting the entity controlling my devices. That's relevant to criminal surveillance. They're all sitting around monitoring. This is very obvious and plain criminal conduct of surveillance with the entity. It's currently 3:22 p.m. This is P.O.C. at OVITT Family Community Library. This is on the library Wi-Fi, the City of Ontario Library Wi-Fi. All right, well, you will see the images of the sex offenders stalking inside of this venue where they are also monitoring my devices, and they're sitting around stalking inside of the library. This is the special needs population engaged in monitoring genitalia in the bathroom as well. You will see those images uploaded as well while they engage in federal stalking under Title 18 in the bathroom inside of this venue. It is currently 3:36 p.m. That's the entity switching again from my headphones to the my laptop, monitoring in real time. That's exactly what they're doing as well in the bathroom, is gang stalking. It is the special needs that are engaged in sexual violence, and this is going to be built into the prosecution of the City of Ontario that practices sexual violence as a public entity. It's currently 3:37 p.m. This is P.O.C. The entity as plain as stalking in helicopter over the library, as plain as federal stalking inside of the library, P.O.C.
7DKK081, molesting with the rest of the people of the state, stalking with the Ontario Police, who's crossing paths, stalking, and so is the Ontario International Airport. You will see the images uploaded of the Ontario International Airport flying over 507 North Euclid Avenue, the Starbucks, where the entity engaged in kidnapping. You will see that while they are stalking as I'm walking north of Euclid Avenue. They're doing so with regard to stalking with the entity, including the Ontario Police Department, that is stalking, as you will also see as I exit the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun was present this morning upon my entrance and at 6 p.m. upon my exit. 8 GIB 311, molesting. These are sex offenders monitoring with the Ontario Police, with the Ontario International Airport, as the people of the state engage in surveillance all day long inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. And this is the same kidnapper. So I just want to be clear. You're understanding Starbucks engaged in a kidnapping as an entity. This entity is still stalking, as my documentation proves, on a day-to-day basis, ceaselessly. All day, all night, everywhere, including in the bathroom. And these kidnappers, these sex offenders, these special needs defendants are engaging in what is ongoing stalking, and it includes the Ontario Police Department crossing path in a police vehicle, doing so on what is Euclid Avenue, where I'm being molested by the people of the state. This is the Ontario Police engaging in sexual violence and still stalking. All right, it is currently 8:24 p.m. This is P.O.C. 8:26 p.m. ongoing psychological torture by the special needs defendants, the Ontario Police Department, monitoring the evidence and then intentionally engaging what is crossing path stalking at Euclid and, this is G Street and Laurel. We're license 8 UEG 680 stalking, and so is license 8M35948. The police engage in stalking by, for example, being at every corner as you approach it, being at every traffic light, engaging in traffic stops around you. It's referred to as criminal summoning. And they're doing so while you are also aware of the fact that they're monitoring the evidence. This is the special needs of the Ontario Police that are engaged in what is stalking, not law enforcement. They're being disbanded for that ongoing deliberate engagement of what is stalking while they're being exposed simultaneously. 9 UAG 493. All gang stalking immigrants are being deported. All right, all special needs gang stalking immigrants are being deported out of this country. They are a threat to the public. While their seriously demented mindsets, their sexual perversion, their disdain for the Constitution, their inclination to engage in psychopathic targeting conduct with the corrupt government like the special needs of the Ontario Police is going to subject them to deportation. While I am documenting them gang stalking, stalking with light, 8 BSVO27, 8 YKC303, 8 WME 588, 8 WMF 588, 7 JKV390, 9 TOS 718. These are all special needs. These are all special needs. This is the people of the state. These are demons with a severely mentally demented mind state. This is indeed special needs, as the demon-possessed population is exposed for gang stalking, and I also document them in order that their special needs status is public information because it poses a threat to people, to American citizens. 9 LAE 457. And the Ontario Police stalking as I arrive at another intersection while they're engaged in crossing path. Passive-aggressive psychopathic methods of stalking. License 8HJC532. A demon intentionally playing that genre of music while they're listening to me speak to what is going to be very real deportation, and then they can play their music when they're being flown out of this country, or when they are equally unrepentant and unapologetic for engaging in domestic terrorism. All right, that's the very impunity. Remember, everything that the entity is doing, everything you hear, everything that's happening in this specific environment is deliberate. So when you want to talk about deportation and then play that level of cultural music while you're monitoring, they're not even welcome in this country. And this is why Mr. Trump is equally unapologetic when they're engaging in ICE raids. License 6NGW189. Like I said, I don't blame them. 9PVB162. 9JDR229. And they're stalking with the Ontario Police that's crossing path as I approach Laurel and G Street. Doing so with knowledge, real-time knowledge. These are the demons that are going to federal prison. So if you're paying attention to what I documented today, I document more evidence on December 8, 2021. I published it today. You'll see the Ontario Police Department gang stalking at the Ontario Plaza Apartments under the fake sun. That demon's going to federal prison. He looks a lot like Alex Escobar, who committed kidnapping on July 4, 2025. Nonetheless, this bald-headed Latino, who if he's not a natural-born citizen, he's going to be deported. He's going to federal prison, however. And I published that evidence of the long-term documentation of psychological torture, stalking, wherever it is that I'm going, tracking my steps, just like these demons are, exhibiting severe mental illness, these special needs demons who are engaged in gang stalking, stalking with light, pacing all around. 8 BSV027. And that demon is published. It's on the internet. It's from December 8, 2021, engaging in that pattern of conduct, and he's going to federal prison. And so is every other gang stalking police officer, which is an oxymoron that's going to be squarely dealt with under federal law. All right, P.O.C, Ontario Police crossing path again. Let me go ahead and show you. Crossing path at the plaza of the G Street, where the demons are real-time monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. Okay, this is the department that's following me around from corner to corner in helicopters. That's stalking under a fake sun. You already know what they're doing, and they do so while I am simultaneously embarrassing them and speaking to the fact that they're going to federal prison. You're going to witness them be sentenced to federal prison, like I told them that was going to happen. And they continuously engaged in what is malicious and criminal conduct with the level of impunity that's requiring nothing less than federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:30 p.m. Hi. I actually want to order, but I understand that it's better to order online. Is that true?
Yeah, it's usually cheaper.
Okay, so if I do you guys still have the Wi-Fi available to order?
I believe so. I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna order right now. Thank you. All right, this is 715 North Euclid Avenue. If you'll recall, 7-Eleven is gang stalking, but Pizza Hut is gang stalking with the Ontario Police. This is the same parking lot where the Ontario Police are crossing paths, not coincidentally, while they're monitoring the evidence. These are psychopaths. These are demons. This is special needs that needs to be removed from law enforcement. And the demon-possessed, the special needs, they take the documentation as some sort of challenge. They're delusional psychopaths, and they are being documented for very serious criminal activity that they're going to be disbanded and placed in federal prison for. And this is why you have that simultaneous crossing path pursuant to a documented body of evidence of psychological torture, pursuant to repeated acts of kidnapping, while the police department is stalking. And they're stalking as demons under a fake sun and an engineered light, okay? Where light just manifests out of nowhere. Those are demons that are wearing police uniforms, and they're going to be swiftly removed from those positions. This is the same parking lot at Pizza Hut at 715 North Euclid Avenue where you saw the lawlessness of this special needs population, gang stalking, replete with that same department stalking in commercial planes and helicopters, flying in circles, if you'll recall that documentation. It was just the other day. That's the Ontario Police that's monitoring the evidence and continuously engaging in what is domestic terrorism. They're engaging in that with a level of impunity that is that's precisely relevant to how long gang stalkers of the Ontario Police are going to sit in federal prison. Okay? It's not a challenge. It's a prosecution. And the special needs defendants of the Ontario Police, they need to sit in federal prison. They need to sit in mental asylums because they need serious medical attention. It is currently 8:32 p.m. at 715 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. $8M&J 198 and 7LQJ 803. You can see the impossible light beneath the counter where they're standing. They have multiple shadows. They're creating light activity, stalking in the path, engaging in terrorism, shadows on the floor and shadows upright on the lower cabinet. Where the third party is at 8:48 p.m. They're picking up their food, gang stalking with the company. All right, and the entities engaged in terrorism and possible light, just ripping through here. They're special needs, definitely. This is the special needs entity that's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. The wacky light activity is reference to the special needs mindset, the deficiency of the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is a mentally ill population. All right, and the third party is stalking in the path, okay, having uber powerful headlights, 9KRT324, more special needs defendants. And the Ontario Police is gang stalking through all of it. It's built into the business of Pizza Hut as well. They're pacing in and out in impossible light activity, stalking in the path. This is terrorism while demons stalking with light also. This is actual special needs. Okay, the gang stalkers they suffer from special needs, which is causing, inflicting harm on other people. And that's why it's also a national security concern. It's a national security threat. It's a public safety concern. It's 8:49 p.m. This is P.O.C.